Hello and welcome to ABW Radio Live. Slightly delayed this evening. Don't ask why.
My fault. Sorry.
Well, maybe Tom, maybe somebody else might have some explaining to do. No, never mind. Right, so I am your host Chris. I've got Tom with me, I've got Rob with me, and I've got Danny with me. Afternoon all.
Right.
Howdy.
Right, it's going to be a bit of a tough one today. There's obviously a lot to discuss. Well, not a lot to discuss, but potentially it could lead to lots to discuss. You just never know how these are going to go, depending on what people have got to say in the chat box. So, afternoon, evening, or morning to you, wherever you are in this fine world. I'll get some first thoughts from you all then. Let's start with Rob. What was your thoughts on today, Rob?
I'm just really glad that we got out of there without losing. That pretty much sums it up as far as the match goes, but I would like to take a moment and just appreciate just how vile and horrible Stoke City FC is as a club, their fan base, for continuing to chant those horrible songs about Aaron Ramsey and about Arsene Wenger. It's the worst ground in the Premier League, and if it were to collapse tomorrow, I wouldn't shed a tear for a moment. I hate them.
Yeah, no class whatsoever. I'm not even going to do the dignity of bringing them up too much today because they don't deserve it. Tom, what was your thoughts today?
I'll do the dignity. I think they're vile, cretinish creatures. So that's my assessment of the Stoke fans. We got a special request, didn't we, from what's her name, Accidental Gooner, to explain how vile they are. So hopefully I've done you justice there. But no, I was happy with the result in the end. Without Ozil, it was always going to be a pretty glitchy, static game, and there was not really much movement off the ball, I felt. And at the end of the day, we expended quite a lot of energy in midweek against Liverpool. And to be honest, I would have preferred 2 points than the 3 out of the 2. I'd rather that we kept an undefeated streak out of the 2 games and still be remaining top after that, of course. So I think drawing both of them instead of winning one and losing one, I think is better for us going forwards in terms of team spirit and morale and positivity in the club.
Danny, what was your sort of overall? I know you didn't really enjoy it very much, but you're a miserable sod.
I'm thinking big rubber tit. That was more important and interesting in this fucking game. Referee blew the whistle. They did some stuff. Blew the whistle half time. Blew the whistle for the second half. Ramsey cleared it off the line. Blew the whistle. Game was over. That was all that fucking happened. Load of fucking shit. Should be fucking ashamed. Theo Walcott, retire now, you fucking idiot.
Hey. Well, I've none of that. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
None of that. Right.
Brilliant,
Okay.
wasn't he? Continuing this fantastic form of 2016.
No, he wasn't brilliant.
I've had diarrhea that was more fun and interesting to watch than he was. Fucking idiot. If you don't want to play the game, Theo, fuck off.
I think he does want to play the game. He's just going through a spell where he's clearly not at his best.
He's going through the motions is what he's doing. He's like he's living in a dead fucking relationship and he's just going through the lovemaking process for the fucking sake of it.
Oh, God,
leave the club, Theo. Go. Fuck off to Liverpool and then maybe they'll get to play up front in your beloved position. And you're one of my favourite players and you're just really fucking annoying me. Really winding me up. Stop it.
You said to me before we went live, you said I've got nothing to say.
That's it. I've had to make stuff up just to fucking enough.
Okay.
Still got a toothache and neck ache, but I'm stretching and it's making my neck feel. What I need is a massage. If someone can nip round and do me a quick massage, that'd be wonderful.
Right. Okay. Well, with that being said,
What did you think of the game? Here we go. It was fucking brilliant. We were brilliant.
No, I think
Please say they were shit. Go on.
it was a fair result. Both teams didn't do enough to win the game. Simple as that. Stoke were.
I'll give it that, I suppose.
Stoke were, taking aside the
Stokish.
the uneducated, uncouth fans, where they all share a brain cell in Stoke, clearly, and obviously the village idiot was missing today.
Can I coin the term Cambridge Justice just came out?
Yeah, I think that's probably a first. Cambridge just, yeah, absolutely.
Did someone just say that?
No, that was all me.
Oh.
Somebody said in the chat box that you are the new Jason, so Carl said
Oh,
you're
yeah, that's where it came from.
Oh, there you go. Someone's just said if Theo should leave, then what the fuck should Chamberlain do? Well, fuck off as well. Both of them. Fuck right off.
No, I'm not going to have any of that.
You're not having any of it, are you?
No, I'm not going to have any of that today. In fact, you
Probably
know what?
Andy Cole, the turncoat, and Ashley Cole.
Let's start with the team. So we We heard that Mesut was going to miss the game. I wasn't surprised at all, particularly when there was no Alexis on the bench. I think it was careful planning for the manager to think, you know what, it's a heavy pitch, it's cold, it's miserable, Stoke's scummy, let's not risk the 2 players. Did anybody have any issue with the starting lineup, first of all? Did everybody agree with it? Tom, I'll start with you.
I was happy with it. I think Campbell's our best forward player at the moment when Ozil wasn't in the team, so he was always going to get that start. Ox playing at 10 was interesting. There was kind of interplay and interchanging going on with Ramsey, but I think I would rather have seen Ramsey at 10 and Ox given that more deeper role next to Flamini. But no, I was reasonably happy with what was going on. Nacho, obviously, I felt for me was one of the best players in the team today. Continually consistent. A couple of errors, but there wasn't anyone on the team who had a perfect day. And Cech obviously was amazing. I can't really say too much. I want to say that he's man of the match every single game, but it's just the thing is I know how good he is, and I know that he's always going to perform like that. There's obviously you get mistakes like I did in the West Ham game, but that was his first game in the Arsenal team, and it's a completely new environment, and you're nervous coming into a new team like the Emirates, playing at the Emirates, and it was a great performance. And he pulls off some great saves. I'm sure we'll go into, but yeah, I was happy with who we played.
Rob, what did you make of the team itself? Was there anybody that you would have rather seen playing? You know, would you have changed the system around? Would you have changed the personnel? Were you happy with Ox coming in, for example?
Yeah, I was pretty pleased with the team selection. I think I saw that the biggest complaints that most people have were the usual one of Gabriel not starting ahead of Per. And I also saw lots of people crying out for El Neni to make his debut today, and that is not the environment, I think, to start off your Arsenal career on. People who were shouting for him to come on at halftime, I saw on Twitter, and I mean, we were so limited. What else were you going to do? I mean, the team sort of picked itself today, you know. And I thought, all things being considered, I thought it was fine.
Our fellow panelist Neil made an excellent point about Nene. You know, that there were a lot of people were saying to get him on, and Neil took the words right out of my mouth. He said, "Something that's shiny and new doesn't necessarily mean it's going to make a difference." You know.
Can I clarify that point?
Oh no, I wasn't digging you out, Tom. I was digging out the people that were. You know, that were going at it, Homer and Tongs on Twitter as they
I just wanted to see him play, to be honest. I'm interested to see what he's going to add to the team. So
I reckon he might get the game at Burnley. I think that's probably when we're more likely to see him, but we never know.
What about Barca?
Yeah, you never know if he plays well enough in the next couple of games. Danny, what did you think of the system? What did you think of the lineup? I mean, would you... you know, I know you've had your rant on Theo and Ox, but there wasn't too many other options for me to play in the team today, so would you have changed anything?
I agree with Tom 100%. Ramsey should have been playing in the 10, not the
Ox.
He was. Ramsey is our number 2. Well, actually, I'd rather see Sanchez as our number 2 choice. So it goes Ozil, Sanchez, Ramsey, and then maybe the Ox as that. As the to go in the Ox hole, the Ozil hole as it is now, or the Bergkamp hole as it used to be. I think we need to give up on playing Walcott far wide left. Doesn't Campbell play occasionally wide left for Costa Rica? Isn't he left-footed?
He's more of a centre forward for Costa Rica though. He plays from that side.
I know in the World Cup that's where he was playing, but on transfer market he says he can play up front or he can play wide left.
Yeah, but on transfer market it says that I'm worth 12 million, so I wouldn't necessarily believe that.
I suppose there is that, but I agree with Tom 100%. Ramsey should have started there. In that position, Ramsey scored 17 goals in a season. The Ox, if he earns a position, he can play there. But with the Ox is a quicker player than Ramsey, but maybe they wanted Ramsey's ability to see a good ball and part and spread the ball around the field, a la Mr. Cazorla. Flamini got stuck in a couple of times, which I thought was a bit close to getting a booking, which was interesting. Personally, I'd have started a Spina in goal because then we'd have been 3-0 down at half time. We might have pulled our fingers out and gone for another 3-3. At least that would have been interesting. And maybe play Gibbs up front again. I'm just dismayed of it. It's such a boring game. I'm so annoyed at them. And then I said, oh, here we go. Arnautovic is going to score. We can lose 1-0. And you went, oh, you can't change your score. I wasn't changing my score.
I thought you were trying to predict halfway through.
Yeah, I'm the second bottom of the bloody predictions league. I'm going to get nowhere with that. I just wonder how good would they have been if Shaqiri hadn't have been manhandled with that. Was it against Norwich where he got the sliding tackle and he took them both out?
Yeah.
I remember watching that last night. We just for
O'Neill
no.
took out Afellay against Norwich.
Oh, that was it. Yeah, that's one I was thinking
That's
of.
the one.
Come sliding through him from behind for no reason. I thought that was Shaqiri, but yeah, if they'd have had Shaqiri playing, I don't like the idea of Joselu up front. It's either him or Crouch at the moment, isn't it? So there's nothing too wonky. But I thought the Walcott bloke, I thought he looked pretty good. Bojan was all right, but Arnautovic, I think he's probably their best player at the moment. I mean, today.
Yeah.
But it just shows that when Wenger needs to go in that transfer market and dig deep, because we had so little choice to bring anybody off the bench, did we? I mean, Giroud was thinking he picked up a bit of a knock in the second half when Iwobi was coming on. I thought, if you looked at the far right-hand corner of the pitch at the top, you could see that Giroud was almost hobbling around. I don't know if he was cold or fed up, but he was just getting nothing. He was getting no service from anybody really. In fact, the only time we looked like anything was going to happen was from Campbell, who was absolutely brilliant, and they've given him a 6.9. I thought he was probably our best player apart from Cech.
Tried to make things happen.
He tried his arse off. It's brilliant to see. That's what the Ox and Theo need to do. Look at what Campbell is doing. Take a leaf out of his Costa Rican book and start doing that. Play like you give a fuck. And then how many times did the Ox give the ball away? I mean, at one point he gave the ball away, got it back again, gave it away again, then went after it again. Shut up now.
I'll come on to him. Just two things I wanted to pick up on that you said there. I'm not sure I'm on board with this whole, transfer crap of we've got to go buy 4 players. We've got 4 very good players coming back. You can't just keep buying.
But we need them now.
You can't just go out and buy.
Can we afford
4
them?
players. No.
What? We can't afford them.
Not the sort of players that would improve our squad right now. No, because in January they're going to price us out the market, and we, what do you do? So you go and buy somebody now who's going to play for 3 weeks, and you got Jack Wilshere or Sandy Cazorla fit. You go,
Jack's going to get injured again, and Sandy's going to leave at the end of the season.
You don't know that, do you?
I can have a bloody good guess at that.
You've got Thomas Rositzky back in full training.
If Giroud knows there's somebody on the bench, you look how Giroud acted when he knew Theo was on the bench ready to come on and substitute him. He played his arse off. I mean, he's playing good at the moment, 9 in 9, well, 9 in 10 as it is now. But Giroud's got no competition.
But he will have.
Stuck out. Yeah, knows it, but he hasn't at the moment, has he?
He will have on Sunday because Alexis is fit and Theo Walcott will go where he rightfully should be right now, which is the substitutes bench as a centre forward. Because that's where he'll be.
I suppose, personally, I'd rather have more players, so then the players that are playing are thinking, I better play my arse off, like Campbell, otherwise I'm going to get dropped, I'm going to be sitting on the bench, and they're going to take my spot. Because at the moment, Giroud isn't worried, Walcott isn't worried, and maybe Chamberlain isn't worried. I mean, to a certain extent, I don't think Ramsey is worried.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I just don't think that this constant thing of keep spending money when we get an injury, it just bores me, to be honest. Yeah, everyone has the right to their opinion.
You mean you don't agree with it?
No, everyone has the right to their opinion. I'm not saying I'm right, but
you are.
Well, in my own head, I am. It doesn't mean I am in general. Performances then. I mean, we could sit here and discuss the game, but it's just no point in talking about the game because nothing really happened. The first half was scrappy. I think I said to a couple of guys in our group that one moment of quality would have won that game. There wasn't really any moments of quality. I do want to pick up on the defensive side of things though, because I think 2 years ago, I said to Rob, 2 years ago I think we lose that game, and that's one of the positives I take from today. We've gone up there, we've matched them for physicality, we've matched them for organisation, which is 2 of Stoke's greatest traits, or has been in previous years. And we've come away with a point, which is, whether you look at it as a point gained or a point dropped, either way, it's a difficult place to go. All the etc., all the cliches, etc. So we get a point. What do you think of as far as the performance of both sides? I mean, do any of you have any argument that we should have won the game? I could start with you. Rob.
I don't think on today's performance you can make the argument that we deserve to win that game. I thought they had the better chances and were, largely the better team today. But you're spot on, Kris. I mean, last season we were 3-0 down, at halftime in that match, and even earlier this year, big teams have lost there. Chelsea's dropped points there. City, United have all dropped points in that ground. So they came away with nothing. I believe. I think they all lost. I think we're the only title contender that's got a draw from there. So that's a point gained on all those folks. But yeah, I feel like we've said this a bunch of times this year that this is a match that we would have lost in previous years. I think Newcastle was like that. I was on after Newcastle and we talked about how past Arsenal teams just would have come away with nothing. I was impressed with the physicality and the way that we sort of pushed back today, and we were actually getting into the referees' faces. I think we don't do that enough as a team. It showed, I think, that the boys really had some fight today, so I was pleased.
Yeah, I think you make some excellent points. Tom, what was your thoughts? I mean, are you overall, say you're happy with the point? You know, you've already said you'd have taken the 2 points from the 2 away games rather than 3 in a loss, but is it a point gained given the other games yesterday, which I think we all expected City to win, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, even it's quite funny. When I watched the game, I wasn't actually impressed with City in a 4-0 win, which is odd. But they aren't playing well. We're not exactly playing at our best. Certainly, we haven't got 2 of our best players in the team, and we haven't had 3 of our best, if you count in Coquelin and Sanchez as well, for a while now. And I was impressed how we held on in the game. There were chances that there was a graphic that came up and the middle of the pitch had 55% us and the Stokes half had 38%, and there was only about 7% in our half, some ridiculous stat like that. And you could tell that we were really going for it, but weren't actually coming up with that final ball, that final passes, which is what Ozil would be the player doing that. But we didn't have that incisive player in behind the striker making those passes. But as I say, I was happy that we got the point. I was happy that we got a point against Liverpool, even though technically it was 2 points dropped and we shouldn't have dropped them. But I think it's positive going into the Chelsea game without losing a match. And Dom put up a great graphic in our chat about our away form right now, and it isn't positive. I think we've won 1 of our last 6 or something like that, and that will come, and that will come with the injuries coming back. And Danny needs to be stopped so pressurising us to sign players. Like, I do agree that we should be promoting what we have, and that's not digging you out, Danny, but I just certainly feel that we should. There isn't the quality out there really to bring in at the moment. Then you look at everyone's crying out for a defensive midfielder, and we've bought someone for 5 million from Basel, which a lot of people aren't impressed about. But I personally have faith in the team that whoever decides who we buy, and he certainly has shown somewhere that he's got the quality enough to play for us. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do.
2 things on that. I don't like digging people out, but I will dig some people out on this. These people that have been on social media this week slating the club for making a signing just because they haven't heard of him, do yourselves a favour, go fuck yourselves, because you are the sort of fans that are this horrible mutating bile that is starting to creep into the modern day world of football, and you need to go and get an education, and you need to start watching football, and you need to start learning something about football, and you need to stop writing off players before they've even put the fucking shirt on. So do yourselves a favour, find a cliff and jump off it. Thanks very much. The other thing I just want to bring up, if I can go back to my apparently classy persona, I agree with Dom that the away form definitely has dropped off a bit. The one thing I would say, Manchester City 1 win away in 7 in the Premier League. I don't think it's just us, and I think that's where we now need to, if we can get our away form back to, more of the W's and D's rather than the L's, as it were, I think that's probably where we might well take advantage of other teams, because, when we've got to really worry is when City start getting away wins and when Leicester start putting away wins together. But one of the pundits said on Sky, I think it was today, that there doesn't appear to be a team that are looking likely to put together 6 or 7 wins like we've seen in previous years. It seems to be 2 or 3 wins rather than 5 or 6. But we'll go back to the game. Somebody just highlighted on Twitter, Danny, I'll come to you on this one because I know you're a fan of the Flame. Carl James O'Reilly was saying credit to Flamini, Monreal and Joel, used since December, or unsung, sorry, since December, and I agree with that. I thought Flamini was quite good today. Did you think of his performance? Because he was on his own a lot of the time.
He was, because you had the Campbell and Ramsey intertwining, and then Campbell running off, trying to cover every position on the pitch because he was actually playing like he gave a damn. So it was really interesting to see the Flame. That's why I noticed that he almost got a booking, because he was that theory of mine that you play better if you know there's someone on the bench ready to take your place, and that someone is El Neni Nunar, and he's there and he's waiting. So I think the Flame knows his days are numbered and he's making the most of it. It's a shame we haven't got Spurs. Oh, we have got Spurs up soon, haven't we? But you made an interesting point about Liverpool, about Man City. They had 4 away losses in a row, then 5 away wins in a row, then a loss, draw, loss, draw, and then they beat the mighty Watford away. So, yeah, maybe away wins aren't as easy to come by. I mean, on paper, in the Rothmans triple year, but when I'm looking back at this in a couple of years' time, an away draw at Stoke, that's good. An away draw at Liverpool, that's good. But it's just the way we played, which is why I'm so angry. 2 points from those games where we could so easily have lost, and in recent years we have lost. And I'm just angry about some of the situation like that. Are we allowed to bring up Charlie Austin yet? £4 million? I mean, that's just like giving him away.
Yeah, I mean, you can bring him up, but
he could do the Giroud job as long as you don't ask him to do the defending.
You're not seriously telling me Charlie Austin is good enough for us?
18 Premier League goals last season. He's good enough to come on for Giroud with maybe 20 minutes to go when Giroud's knackered, when he's been battered around for the entire game.
What, like Michu was good enough for Arsenal?
Well, he would have been if he wouldn't have got that injury.
Danny, I love you to bits. I love you to bits, but there is no way Charlie Austin is not fit to referee a game at the Emirates, let alone play him.
Why?
Sorry. Because he doesn't suit our style. He's got no pace. He's injury prone, which, let's not forget, we've already got. Yeah. He's done it one season. You know, if you're going to do that, go and buy Jamie Vardy. I'm sorry. I'm just.
Well, you wouldn't have Jamie Vardy either.
No, I wouldn't. When he's done it, when he's done it for 4 or 5 seasons straight, and he's signed by a top club, that's fine. No worries. Let's see. But I don't get it wrong. I like Charlie Austin. I think he's a very capable, lower level centre forward, and I think he'll get goals for Southampton.
So if he gets 10 goals for Southampton by the end of the season, will you still say that he's not good enough for the Premier League?
What, Charlie Austin?
Yeah.
No, he's good enough for the Premier League. He's not good enough for Arsenal.
So he's not good enough, even though he's scored all those goals and he's got 10 in 16 in League One with a shit team, in the Championship, that he's not good enough to come on with 15, 20 minutes left to give Giroud, so then he wouldn't have to concentrate, because Giroud is asked to do far too much. He's asked to track back, he's asked to defend, he's asked to do everything. If you put Charlie Austin up there and say, we're just going to pump balls into you, you don't think he's good enough to do a job for us.
We wouldn't do that, that's my point.
Yeah, Wenger wouldn't do it because he's too bloody stubborn.
Well, no, we wouldn't change our style to suit...
Why today wouldn't Wenger's so stubborn? Why didn't he go Theo and Giroud up front and play a kind of 4-4-2?
Because we'd have probably lost the game, because we'd have had too many forward players. We'd have been too exposed. You don't go to Stoke and go, hey, let's go and attack, because when we do that, we get beat. I totally understand why he set up the way he did today. Let me ask the other guys. Right, Tom, would you have Charlie Austin at Arsenal?
It's hard to say yes. I think he has the quality. I think he has qualities which make him unfashionable for people. The fact he's English is one. A lot of people don't like an English striker. It's a bit weird that it's unfashionable. He's not a tricky player. He's not fast, as you say. The one thing I do say is that he does score goals from opportunities which arise quite often.
When we played him at QPR last season, he was the goal he scored
against us. The goal he scored against us at QPR last season was excellent, and he has qualities where I think that he could. I wouldn't be embarrassed if Charlie Austin was a backup striker. However, I don't think we should be going out to buy a backup striker. I think we should, if we're going to get a striker, I think it should be someone who's going to be better than what we've already got. But I don't want to insult Charlie Austin because I like him as a player. I think he's got qualities to play in the Premier League and score goals in the Premier League. My opinion of it is I just don't think we should be buying someone to be backup at the moment. I'd rather buy someone. Unfortunately, it's not available at the moment who's going to replace Giroud, and I think Walcott can do just as good as what Charlie Austin would do up front, if not better at the moment, even though he's being awful.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, thanks, Danny. Liam, I'll quite happily answer that. How come Charlie Austin scored more goals than in the Premier League Giroud ever has? Liam, no offence, if you can't see how much Olivier Giroud does for this team, you're not watching the same team I'm watching. I'm sorry. I respect your opinion and you have every right to it. But if you're telling me that Charlie Austin would do more as a centre forward than Olivier Giroud has done, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. I just don't know what to tell you. And I'm not saying that Charlie Austin isn't a good forward. As I say, at his level, Southampton is exactly his level. There's a reason why Tottenham didn't go for him, right? And that should tell you something. There's a reason why they haven't gone for him. There's a reason why Manchester United, who don't have a centre forward other than Wayne Rooney, have not gone for Charlie Austin. That's kind of the point I'm making. And also people say about, we should sign a backup forward. Okay, no worries. So you go to Charlie Austin and go, yeah, Charlie, we'd like you to sign, and you're going to be backup at best, so you're not actually going to play unless we're that desperate. Do you really think he's going to sign? Come on. Let's move on from Charlie Austin because he's a Southampton player. What shall I ask? Rob, what did you think of Nacho Monreal today? Because he's a player that for me, I wouldn't have any other left back in the world, and I know Tom's going to scream an Austrian chap at me, but for me, he's better in midfield anyway.
Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. You know, but Rob, I mean, for me, best left back in the Premier League and one of the best in Europe. He's just so commanding, so dominant, reads the game so well. His performance today, did it stand out to you?
Absolutely. Nacho is by far and away the best left back in the Premier League, certainly. I think, the world, I could talk about, the gentleman Alaba that you were mentioning there. I certainly am a big fan of him, but in the Premier League, he's hands down. He might be the best defender in the Premier League, period, not just left back this year. His performances have been remarkable. This week, he has saved us from a couple clear-cut goal-scoring chances when he's been isolated against a winger cutting in, and he's able to just nick the ball and calmly start the transition the other way. He doesn't just hoof it. He picks out the right pass, and the physicality of the Premier League doesn't bother him. He gives as good as he gets, and I love watching him play. I'm so glad that he's our left back. I think we're pretty much sorted at left back for a while because Gibbs is fine as a backup, but I don't ever want to see Nacho not in the lineup. He just fills me with so much confidence, similar to the feeling I get from Cech being in goal. You just know that he's going to do the right thing every time. He's reliable, and he's going to stand up and be counted on when he plays.
Yeah, well said. Agree with every word. Danny, we had a request actually. Accidental Game was chatting to me before we went live, and she was saying that obviously there's the scapegoated players that are picked on, which we'll come to in a minute because it's only fair that we bring those up. But Laurent Koscielny looks a bit, let's say, off his game, but he doesn't quite look as assured at the moment. He seems to be taking the extra touch. He seems to be dwelling on the ball a bit. His distribution isn't quite what it has been. Do you think that's just an example of maybe playing so many games, or do you just think that it's one of those things? All players go through poor form.
I think it's possibly that at half-time he went in, he put Sky Sports on, and he saw that, what game was it? Las Palmas, Atletico Madrid. They're wearing fucking T-shirts! That's what he fucking saw. That's what I saw, and I cried like a baby. It's warm there. It's so cold here. I can't cope with the cold. So that's what he did. That's my explanation of what happened.
Okay.
I don't like the cold. Stop it, please.
That's fine. That's fine. I'll go to Tom instead.
It really made me sad. Those fuckers all there in their yellow T-shirts going, oh, it's a bit hot today. And I'm sitting here with a fucking blanket on next to the heater, shivering like a shitting dog.
Join us next week on ABW Weather Report. Tom, what do you make of Cos then? I mean, I don't think he's doing badly by any stretch of the imagination, but he just looks at a player who's just struggling to find his best right now, and maybe is one that he needs to find that gear. Otherwise, we're in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, I think he's played a lot of games, a lot of games, and I think he's just feeling. I think he's feeling more pressure. The fact that this season is the season for many people, and I think a lot of the players could be thinking they had the belief that this could be the season, and certainly his touches are a bit off. Like he'll either ball come to him and he'll make a bit of a heavy touch, or when he's going out, which I actually feel that he's an excellent defender as a centre back. He's one of the best at bringing the ball out from the back. But some of his touches and the passes that he's made have been a bit off. Defensively, he's still excellent defensively. Which, if you're going to be an off player, not playing to the top of your form, still being great defensively shows the quality the guy is. But I think it will be fine. Metazaka covers for him excellently. Monreal is obviously just to his left and covers brilliantly and consistently every game. So I'm happy with what the back four are doing, and especially when you've got Cech behind you, it gives you a lot more confidence in what you're doing.
Yeah, wise words indeed. We had a tweet actually, which was a great point from Niall McGonigal, and he says, lads, if any of Ozil, Cazorla, or Alexis had been fit today, we probably would have won the game. Was a good point at Stoke for me.
Who was that from?
Yeah, Niall McGonigal.
Mana.
Who's that? Niall FVAC.
You make sense. I think that's right. You can't take our three best players out of the team and then moan when they don't win, like I moan. I do realise that.
Yeah. And of course,
it's good that Tom gave you a sensible answer to a very good question I did, and I just dribbled on about the weather. This is why Tom is so much better at this than I am. I'm only here because I own it.
People don't come here. People don't watch this show for your looks, Danny.
Hey, the ladies do. Still single. Breathe in.
Yes, good point. No, I agree. And not only our three probably best players, our three most technically technically gifted players to open up a team like
So
Stoke.
make that 4, put Santi in if you want about technically gifted.
Oh, I did. Yeah, he said Ozil, Cazorla, or Alexis.
I thought he said the cock.
No, but a cock
We'll
again.
chuck the
is-
cock
is
in as
not-
well then. Why not?
Oh, everyone wants to chuck the cock in, don't they?
Hey!
Bum-bum.
Don't get the booby out.
It's a good job. It's a good job the lad's French, because you imagine the amount of like constant puns he would get if he was English. Like, it'd just be all over the place.
This is a stress ball. I've been killing it all day. My mum bought me it. My mum's a pervert.
I'm glad it's a stress ball, not some small lady that you've torn the bits off of. Anyway, moving on very quickly.
Much thought into that.
We have to cover some of the negatives. Then I'm not above that. I just say at this point, I'm not going to turn this into a throw the players down the well-esque conversation, because that's not what I want to do here. But we'll start with Theo Walcott. Our very own FK, or ex of, I don't know, can we still call him our own? I don't know.
He's a floating ABWer.
We don't own his image rights anymore, but the very good and very knowledgeable FK put a tweet out earlier on. I agree with him 100%. He said, for £130,000 a week, we do deserve and we do need to be seeing more from Theo Walcott. I thought it was a very calm and concise way of making a very excellent point. Danny, I'll start with you, then I'll go to the other two afterwards. I mean, you said sell him. I'm sure you don't really mean that.
So who?
Walcott.
I think we do need to sell him. There's 2 players at the club, 3 that I want to see do better than any other players. Wilshere, Walcott and the Ox. I love them all. I want them all to come round and live in my shed, and then we can play FIFA all day and have classic bants, I think is what the kids call it. But I'm sick and tired of Theo having the hump when he's not playing as a striker. And beginning of this season, he was playing as a striker and he was doing brilliantly. And his game revolves around pace, turning with the ball, and off he goes. And he can't do that on the left-hand side because he's got to cut in. And when he cuts in, he's got their right back and maybe 1 or 2 centre-backs to deal with and maybe a defensive midfielder to deal with. He can't do it. I mean, his game, he peaked for me against Bayern Munich in the first half when we were 2-0 up. That is what Theo should be doing. And if he isn't doing that, don't even bother having him on the bench, because he cannot do anything else. He doesn't want to, and he's not going to. And if he goes to a team like Liverpool, maybe Man City, they'll get him. No, they won't with Aguero, will they? If they send him to Liverpool, he'll be doing that week in, week out, and he'll love it. But if someone's just put Theo is jaded, he needs a rest. Maybe. That's
Yeah, I
real
mean,
Josh. Oh, hello, real Josh.
It's an argument. Rob, what do you make of Theo? I mean, are you a fan? Would you like to see him reverted more to a bench role if and when Alexis gets fit?
Absolutely. I think right now Theo's role in the club is the backup center forward to Giroud. I do think he is a little bit tired, but I also don't buy the fact that he's disinterested in the game. We have to remember Theo's game has never been about getting lots of touches, being part of the build-up play. That's not what he does. It's not common for him to go, like 20 successful passes in a game and less than 10 touches in a half. Theo, to really get a sense for how well he's doing, you got to watch him off the ball and see the runs that he's making. I thought early today he really tried. He made some good sort of in-cutting runs and was trying to get behind their back line, but nobody picked him out. And I think he did get frustrated today, and I think he kind of stopped as the game wore on. And that's why he was subbed off, because if Theo's not doing that, then why have him out there? Because he literally contributes nothing else to the team. But it's still a very valuable thing. I thought, again, like you guys had spoken about before, if we had Santi Meza out there, we may have found him and created a big chance. But I thought for the first 10 minutes or so, he was at least trying.
Yeah. Tom, what's your thoughts? I mean, one thing I will say in his slight defence today, and it's not a strong defence, but it's worth bringing up, the service he gets. He needs balls in behind. That sounds wrong, but he needs a slide rule pass in behind the defence. He needs a ball he can run onto. He's not at his best with the ball at his feet because, let's be honest, he doesn't really have a trick. He's not a player that's going to do a step over and beat someone. It's ball in behind, pace. And the one player that could have provided that pass today was missing, and the others that could have done couldn't pass 10 yards. So, do you think the criticism is warranted today and overall, Theo?
Any criticism where people are throwing him under the bus and stuff is excessive, in my opinion. People calling him useless, I think that's harsh for what he's done. I mean, you forget so recently that he scored the first goal against Manchester City, which is a huge goal for us. So people forget things so quickly. But I think he's suffering out on that left-hand side, and I don't care if he wants to be on that right-hand side because plain simple. Joel Campbell is playing excellently and deserves to be out there. I completely agree with what you're saying about he needs balls in behind. He's also a player, because he plays for Arsenal, there is the philosophy that we have to pass and have the interplay. And I think if he was given more freedom to go on more runs and burst down the wing with the ball rather than having to play a pass, he'd also do better, because he does well. Like, you looked when he pushed the ball around Volshad, and Volshad had no choice but to bring him down early on in the match, and that's the style he wants to play. But he is pushed into. It's clear that he is pushed into passing. But I'd like him. I really like Theo. I think he's been an excellent servant to the club for many, many years, and I think the criticism that he's getting is completely unjustified in terms of the insultive nature. But I think that I think he's a bit jaded. I think he needs, just like Giroud was earlier in the season, he just needs to be taken out the line of fire for a few games and then come back all the stronger.
Do you think that I'm a little bit too? I know I'm a little bit too hard on him, but as an Arsenal player, I expect you to be at your best 8 or 9 games out of 10. When I go and watch Peterborough, you'll never hear me slag a Peterborough or a Barnet playoff. I never ever do it, because they're not at that level. Now, Ozil, Sanchez, Santi, Ramsey, Giroud, most of those will have 8 or 9 games out of 10 in a row where they'll play perfectly. But the players that don't, I'm thinking, we all know Theo's capable. And we all know that he can do it, but he doesn't do it, and that's what makes me so angry. If you don't want to do it, or you don't feel you can do it, then say something and don't play. But when you're playing for Arsenal and we're top of the league and we're one of the best teams in the country, then you've got to be turning it on and doing and performing almost every single game. And if you're not, then I'm going to get angry and you shouldn't be playing. That's how I see it.
I think you make a good point. I think it's. You talk to, I think it's a fan culture. We all expect more than some players deliver. If you look at, just pull out an example out the air, talk to Everton fans about Ross Barkley. Now, he's a player that I look at and I think, he would do a job. If he wasn't quite the age he's at, if he was a little bit younger and just broken through, he'd be an Arsenal player in the future. And you talk to Everton fans and they go, he holds onto the ball too long, he gives it away, he lacks confidence in possession, his shooting is erratic, blah blah blah. So I think it's fan perception. And the other thing with Theo is that we are also, like Tom said, he got that goal against Man City from a forward position, and we're all forgetting that he was just probably starting to find his legs as a centre forward, which I still, for the record, John will be nodding along, still don't think he is. But if he was just starting to get into the position where he was playing as a centre forward, so he was starting to change his game, his runs were being changed, and then all of a sudden, obviously, the injury to Alexis, really he's been forced to the left-hand side because we don't have anybody else. And I just wonder if when Alexis does return, and maybe we can rest Giroud, for example, and he gets a run through the centre again, that might be where he gets his confidence. But I do agree with you that when you play at this level, you can't be giving 5 or 6 out of 10 more than 2 or 3 times. Every 10 games, for example. I agree with you there. 100% agree with you there.
Rob's got a good point.
Go on, Rob.
Yeah. So with Theo, it's absolutely the only thing that really irks me about his play. Number one is when he tries to face people up and take them on, especially in our own half. We have no ball security in this team, and we see it over and over again. When you have Flamini, Ramsey, Theo, and the Ox all on the team constantly giving the ball away, it really puts us in tough positions. And Theo did it twice today. He did it several times against Liverpool, and it's really it's tough. It puts us in really tight spaces.
Yeah, I agree. And I think
Did you watch the? Oh, go on.
Go on.
Oh, did you watch the Liverpool-Man United game today? How annoyed would
Sadly.
you have been as a Liverpool fan with Firmino constantly shooting from 30 yards out? That would drive me up the fucking wall.
Let's talk about Jordan Henderson, the future of
Another
England.
tit.
Oh my God!
Then that's the next step down from constantly doing nothing to constantly being desperate. He's done it in one game against us. That was his first game out, a goal at home for Liverpool, and then he did it all day today. And then Benteke comes on, and then I think he scored 1 goal since May, beginning of the season.
And they don't play it to him. They brought him on as a target man and then put it all on deck. It was hilarious.
It's just utterly pointless. Benteke's running around and they're going, I'm going to shoot from the middle of nowhere. That's desperation. That's what I don't want to see us doing. But I think Tom's made a very good point where Theo does need a rest. And then I'd personally try Campbell on the left, play the Ox on the right, and then give Theo a rest. And maybe just for one game, say to Theo, right, they're going to play them, Campbell left, the Ox right. I'm going to keep you on the bench. I'm going to bring you on for Giroud. Or maybe even start him up front on his own. Because I think he's a confidence player, isn't he? And it does seem like he has no confidence in what he's doing at the moment, which is such a shame to see. Because I mean, I could moan about those three players, the Ox and Theo and Wilshere, because they're my three favourite players at the club.
Here's a thought for you. The manager particularly likes playing Theo Walcott against Chelsea. He always has seemed to pick him for Chelsea. I wonder if perhaps you might see the opportunity of Alexis return. I think Alexis will come. I don't think he'll be on the bench. I think he'll walk straight back into the side when he's fit, which will probably be Chelsea. And I think that's the reason he didn't get any game time today, because I think he'll maybe get behind closed doors game or training in the week. But there may be an argument to say against the likes of a John Terry, who, you know, I've seen buses in Plymouth move faster on a pull-off than he has. So maybe there's an argument to put Walcott up front against Chelsea, but then fans will then say, well, he's not in form, so why are we playing him? So you can't really win, can you?
He scored in one of my favourite ever games against Chelsea when we beat them 5-3. That was just the first day I ever went to the Emirates, and I went for a tour, and then me and my dad found a pub on the way back, an Arsenal pub, and watched it. And I've never been so up and down during a game. And then obviously that man scored a hat-trick, and he scored some great goals in that. But Theo, he deserves to still be at this club. He's given so much to this club. He does so much for us that people forget, as I mentioned. And at the end of the day, as you say, he's good against Chelsea. So it'd be odd if he did come in against in Forger. I don't think you'll see that, but I think he'll play.
This is testimonial year as well, isn't it? And another thing I was just thinking, just talking to Sue in the chat window, and I think she's a similar generation to me. Back in the day, in the 80s, when George Graham took over, no one was going, a few maybe were going for Gus Caesar and Mark Flats, but we weren't having to go at any of the players and shouting your shit. And if we'd have done a show, if the internet had been invented back then, we wouldn't be coming on slagging off, because we weren't a top team. We were an average team. I mean, before George Graham took over, we were like near the bottom of the league. A couple of times we nearly went down. In 94, 95, we were like about 5 points above the 2 or 3 relegation spots above the relegation spaces. So back then we didn't expect too much. You used to go there and see some god-awful performances, but that's what Arsenal were. They weren't one of the best teams in the league with some of the best players in the league, and we didn't have as high expectations. That's why I get so frustrated, and rather talking about it in a sensible way like Tom does and like you do, I just get angry and shout at things and squeeze boobs. That's all I do.
We all do things our own way.
Rob talks a lot of sense.
We all do things our own way, and as you said, social media wasn't. I mean, Christ, we grew up in the era of teletext, Danny. So it was
page 333.
So
was it?
did I. You misjudged me.
Page 302 Football News, 303 for later scores.
Oh,
but,
303, yeah.
But I mean, yeah, everyone has the right to an opinion. I'm not saying I'm right or any of us are all right.
I shouldn't be moaning about my players and my club as much as I am. We're bloody top. Are we top of the league again now?
Yes, we're top of the league.
Oh, there you go.
Point I made earlier on, but to keep it on that sort of sliding scale of players that they're having trouble. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Now he came into the side today. Now I think we've all got different views on how we played. I actually thought, particularly second half, Ramsey was in the number 10
when
role.
We come out at the beginning of the second half, we looked on fire. It looked like Wenger put a rocket out of their backsides, and I thought that was our best opportunity to score. Yeah,
we did, and it certainly looked to me that towards the second part of the first half and the start of the second, Ramsey was in that number 10 role with Ox more sort of with Flamini. The thing I liked about Ox's performance today was that he kept going. You made an excellent point, Danny. There was that period in the second half where he lost the ball and then went racing after it, won it back, and went on a really good run and then lost it again. And I felt for the lad. And when he came off, it cut to a bit of footage after he messed up a pass, and you just saw him look at the sky, and just scream "fuck." And it was like, and you feel for the guy, because he does strike me as a try. He does strike me as a guy who just needs something to happen for him. These clowns that are saying, "Oh, sell him," he's not good enough. I mean, come on, give the kid a chance, for Christ's sake. What's your thoughts, Danny? I mean, do you play him through this period? I know you've said about him going on loan. That's not going to happen. Let's be honest.
Absolutely not going to happen.
So how do you see it? Do you agree with me that he just needs something to go right for him? Because Ellis makes a great point as well. He needs to lift his head up, because he does do a little bit of the old head down. But I feel for him. I didn't think he was terrible today. I don't think anyone was great, to be fair.
I think he just needs to rub of the green, and he needs to make his game less complicated. But see, one thing that I really liked about the Ox today was the fact that he had the ball, lost it, had the ball back and lost it, and still went running after it. And that kind of passion means that sooner rather than later he's going to have a good game, and then we're all going to go, going to go, what were we going on about? But his goal against Monaco, I mean, that is just, every time I think of the Ox, I think of his cheeky smile, his kid and play tribute act, and his and a goal against Monaco. No one knows who Kid and Play are, do they? No one here is from the 80s.
I remember, but go on.
That's it. And that's it. Just needs to simplify his game, keep on going, and please, people, don't make him the boo boy. I mean, Theo, he's had 8 years out on the right wing, and he hasn't really done much, has he? So that's why I'm angry with him. Maybe it is time for Theo to move on. He nearly joined Liverpool a couple of years ago, apparently. I still think there's time for the Ox to turn it around, but if Theo is never ever going to be our #1 striker, is he? And that's what he wants, and he's not going to get it.
Well, that's Theo, but yeah, with Ox as well. I mean, do you think he's ever going to be a starter? I mean, I really do think that the lad is talented. I think he's got a huge talent, and I just think that he's just struggling to find. So, Rob, what do you make of Ox? I mean, there was that run in the second half where he just, okay, it was a bit head down, but it was pure aggression and willpower and drive, and then he got to the byline. Okay, the cross didn't come off, but that, in just a second, showed what he is capable of from the centre of the park.
Yeah, I mean, he's got bags and bags of talent. I mean, that's obvious for anybody to see. You don't have to know anything about football to just watch him play for a minute and watch him go on a few of his runs, and you see what he's capable of. My problem with the Ox is I don't know where to put him. I don't know what position to play him in to maximize his talents. I mean, I'm not going to pretend to know as much about football as as some other folks, but I can't think of a good spot to put him because the wings, he just doesn't seem to be productive enough because there's no end product. I worry about his ball retention in central midfield and his decision making. He's a bit of an enigma, but I would definitely not get rid of him. There's too much there, and he can be a really valuable part of the squad, but given his form right now, I don't know where to put him to get him out of it. To put him in the best position to get out of his funk. I don't know what that is right now. I don't know.
Game time, doesn't he? And he doesn't deserve a start. And who are you going to take off? Because he's not really better than anyone starting, is he? In a full fit 11, what do you do with him?
Exactly, Danny. You're spot on. Yeah, it's a conundrum. I don't know where to put him because I want to play him out of it, but we can't afford to have him in the lineup. It's a catch-22 right now.
Let me paint a picture for you then, Tom. I'll come to you on this one with Ox. So we essentially we keep him, for the season, and we get through the season, and whatever happens, whether we win the league or whether we don't, we've got, hopefully, Jack Wilshere returning. We've got Alexis coming back, and hopefully Santi Cazorla will be back for the end of the season. Do we just say, you know what? The season's not worked out well. He's still a very, very valuable squad member. We get to the summer and then we just go again because young players sometimes have this sort of season and then they come back firing. Do you think that's probably the best thing that we do? We just almost pursue with him as a substitute now and then deal with it in the summer?
Yeah, I certainly do, and I think that Jason put it in the chat and listened to dig him out. He asked the question in our chat, would you loan him out? And I said no. I think we need him. I think we need him in the team because he can come on and be excellent. And on a previous radio, I've gone on and listed games in which he was excellent in, and he's the quality to be that. And we were talking the other day and disagreeing, debating that, and I brought up, would I swap him for Inaki Williams, which I said I would. However, what I meant by that is who I'd prefer. However, I wouldn't want us to sell Ox because I think he has got the potential to be an excellent player, both out wide, which I personally think that's where his future lies. I can't see him as a central player because for me he does give the ball away too much, and it's not improving as much as it should do. And he's 22 years old now, so I think it should be getting a bit better by now. But he has got a lot of potential, and I think he will come good. It is just as Rob says, it is difficult to put him in because you want to give him game time, but he's not performing. So as I said with Theo, it's also another example of Giroud. Maybe take him out the line of fire when Alexis comes back for a few games. Let him come on a few games, and when he makes his impact, let him play. Start him against Burnley in the FA Cup, and hopefully you can get some form from that. But he really needs a goal. He desperately needs a goal. I don't know the game he was where he hit the post. I think it was Sunderland. Smashed it against the right post. And if that goes in, the confidence goes straight up again. And he just needs confidence again. And as soon as he gets that, he'll be well on the way to being back to the best.
Yeah, he tested Butland today, didn't he? And again, as you say, if that goes in, that's a different game.
I just want to mention something about the Ox again. He's only 22, and it's amazing. We've got a player of 22 who's got 24 caps for England, 5 goals, but yet for Arsenal he's got 13 goals and 141. That it isn't just us being picky or not knowing what's going on. Those stats would suggest that nobody knows what's going on. How can you have so many caps at such a young age for England with all those goals? I mean, that's a goal every 5 games. If he had a goal every 5 games for Arsenal, that would mean he would have a lot more than he scored, because I can't work out what 1 in 5 would be of 141. Well, if it was 1 in 10, he'd have 14, so it'd be 28 goals he should have by now.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I would question who those goals were scored against for England. That's what I would say.
Scored again. 2 against San Marino, 1 against Brazil, 1 Scotland, and 1 Lithuania.
So only really the Brazil game stands out.
That goal was so good as well.
Oh, it was. It was.
Excellent goal.
That would be my only sort of thing I would say.
Yeah, if you're Wayne Rooney, those 2 goals against San Marino, I mean, you're the greatest England player ever.
That's the thing.
He's back. You guys didn't know? He scored again. He's back.
He's back. Yeah. It's all got to be taken into consideration. So,
utilise, please.
So I think that the consensus of opinion here is give Ox time and it'll come good.
Yeah, I agree. I would certainly. I'm not into throwing players under the bus and just saying, "I'll get rid of him." I'm not into that. Here's a good conversation, which was shared by one of our listeners, Mark Blondell, who was very interestingly replied to by a certain gentleman called Lee Dixon, who you might remember. I don't know.
Oh, Dicko.
Mark's conversation that he started with myself and Lee was, somebody please explain the constant defensive strategy of pushing them central and allowing the shot. Lee Dixon responded to that with, "We did it for 10 years, show inside into your bodies. However, it has to be the plan all adhere to." And Mark said, "Only issue for me is somebody has to close down the shot. Currently we allow the shot and bet on Cech." And Lee Dixon said, "I agree." I think that's a really interesting thing to bring up. We do tend to do that, don't we? We do tend to move or allow players inside to shoot. Rob, do you think that's a tactic that is deliberate? Do you think it's something that we, as you say, we've got a world-class goalkeeper now, so are we maybe becoming a bit dependent on him?
I don't know if we're dependent on him. I think it's part of the tactics that we're going to use. We want to force people inside so that Cech will have a clear, line of the ball when they're shooting at it, as opposed to crosses that can get tossed in the mixer. Things happen in that. But you're right. We do need to definitely close folks down a lot quicker. I believe we've allowed. Is it close to the most shots on target in the Premier League? I don't know if someone can look that up real quick, but it's really, really high.
In one game.
That's one for OG and Smarteta Analytics to look at. But I'm sure I remember OG saying something about that very same thing.
Yeah, I think that's who I was talking with about it was OG, and that's not normally the sign, I would think, of a championship team, but if it's part of your tactics and you have a keeper that can sort of handle it, and maybe that's what Cech prefers, I'm not sure. But it's an interesting point.
Yeah, maybe, Tom, what do you reckon? Do you think maybe that Petr Cech is, because obviously when a new goalkeeper in particular of Cech's experience comes into the club, you would imagine, I would suggest that he has quite a big say in how Arsenal's defenders are set up, and him and probably Per Mertesacker, I would say, would get the call. Do you think maybe that Cech is almost saying to the manager, look, I'd rather you back me to deal with shots from distance than invite teams onto us? Would you think that maybe is something that the goalkeeper himself has suggested? Can't hear you, Tom.
I'm muted, that's why. I've done that 2 shows in a row now, that's awful. So teams that shoot from distance, those goals always come up goal of the season and whatever. But can you imagine how many times a player shoots from distance until he actually scores one? It must be ridiculous, because obviously there's so many games in the world going on at the same time. There are a lot of long distance goals scored, but there's 1,000 times more long distance shots taken. Those shots are incredibly hard to actually pull off and score. So Cech's always going to be able to back himself in taking long range shots. Also, a point I was going to bring up about Cech is that people go that teams have the best defences, the biggest teams have the best defences, and normally the world class goalkeepers. And they have that because they know that they can show their players inside. Why is Neuer at Bayern Munich? Well, because they know they can rely on him to take the shots that they do concede, in the few that they do have. Why does Barcelona have Bravo and ter Stegen, two absolutely amazing keepers? Because they know that they can allow the shots to come into them and save the shots. It's a reason why teams don't just go, oh, let's just get any old goalkeeper anyway, because, well, obviously they're going to have to take shots now and again and they're going to save it. So I'm quite happy for us to allow shots into Cech because he is a world-class goalkeeper and he can take it. That shot he saved at Joselu, though, was amazing. I love that save. You could just one of those ones where you go, Szczesny, would he get there? Well, I don't know, because you might have saved the first one, but would he be back up in time to get Boyan's second shot? You don't know, but I put more betting on Cech to do it over him any day. So it's amazing that we've got him. I still can't believe that we have Cech, and when I see him in an Arsenal shirt, it just still seems weird. But I love that we've got him, and I think he's perfect.
Yeah, okay. Danny, I was going to ask you something.
Site.
Oh, we have you? Okay.
Yeah, he's got up to where we had 39 points, which would have been about 2 or 3 games ago. Table based on total shots ratio on target. Man City 0.67, Spurs 0.66, us 0.61, and then prediction. Oh, he's done his prediction. Come May, it says May 2016. Arsenal, Man City, and then Spurs crossed out, saying literally anyone else except maybe Chelsea, and Leicester in 4th. So I've just put the link into the site, into the chat box. People go and have a look at it. He's a busy man, but his stats, and this is stuff that he does himself. He's not cutting and pasting it from anywhere else. He's got the abacus out, and he's sitting there with his candle lit in the middle of the frozen tundra that is Canada, and he's doing a great job. So there's loads of good stuff on there.
Like Scrooge, like you can imagine him in a little office with a pen and an ink quill.
To make the candle.
Yeah, what a legend! Big shout to OG, gentleman of a man, and knows his stuff.
We love him a little bit, and we wish we were him.
Indeed, yes, indeed. Quick word from you on Petr Cech. I mean, that save was fun. I thought it was a really, really good save. You look at it, the angle from behind.
Was that where he grabbed the ball and went sliding out while still holding the ball?
That was the second save, but the first one, the initial save that he made before he saved the rebound. But I think it was from Arnautovic where he clawed it away, and if you look at it from behind the goal, it was veering in, and I do wonder on another day.
He had a few, didn't he?
Yeah,
that one where Ramsey cleared it, and then it come back in again, and then he stuck his foot out and cleared it, and he went left out to the side of the pitch. So today he must have made maybe 4, possibly 5 game-saving saves. But Butland against us when they come to the Emirates, Cash Burton, 29 shots we had, and he had 10 saves. That's the most number of saves a goalkeeper has made. So, but Cech today was absolutely brilliant. Without him, we'd have lost, and without him against Liverpool, we'd have lost. So he is world class. There you go, 2 words.
Yeah,
without him, we would be knackered. Imagine, like you said earlier, imagine having Szczesny in goal today. We'd have lost about 5-0. We'd all be screaming because we'd be about 10th in the league.
Yeah, well, I mean, John Terry's prophecy of getting us 14, 15 points a season extra is certainly coming to fruition.
Changed up to half season, 28 in total, more like.
Wasn't it a shame that John Terry ruined the perfect day by scoring yesterday? Because his own goal was a thing of absolute beauty.
Not seen it yet.
Oh, it was divine.
Because I'm busy doing another pod tonight.
Oh yeah, I don't know what that is.
No.
But yeah, I mean, I think it is vital to have a goalkeeper like that, and I think he really has shown just why we made the effort to go and get him. I think it was on Arseblog and Gunnerblog's pod they said the other day where Arsene rates, somebody asked a question about whether we should let Ospina go, and they both said that Arsene Wenger rates Ospina very highly, and he said that he didn't go out to buy Cech to replace him per se. It was the fact that a genuinely world-class goalkeeper was available, he couldn't say no to it. So I think it's more about the fact that Cech is just of that level than the fact he doesn't rate Ospina. And I wonder if Ospina's willing to be patient, could he hand down the gloves in 2 to 3 years' time? I don't think he will, because I think he needs to be playing games. But
I mean, you look at Ospina and you look at the Premier League, right? You have to look at what club he would be at to be where no one would buy him, or what clubs he would be at where someone go, oh, he's pretty good. So if he is at probably Villa or Sunderland, especially after Fabianski, Swansea, Newcastle, Norwich, Bournemouth, if he's at any of those clubs, someone else would buy him, and then he'd be a mid to top table side. But if he was playing at any other Premier League club, I don't think we'd come in for him. I don't think, and none of the top teams would have him. Man City, maybe Spurs, Man United, Liverpool, none of those would want him.
Well, I mean, the fact that we bought him from Nice does say a lot, doesn't it? So
He's a good backup keeper, but he would should never be. While Cech still has a pulse, he should never be number one over Cech.
No, I'm just scratching my head. Where did United get De Gea from? I can't remember now.
Atletico.
Of course it was. Oh, he was on. Was he? He was a youth product, wasn't he, Tom?
Yeah, because he was between him and Courtois at Atletico.
That's right. That's why there's all this.
Interesting discussions about Barca's, not Barca, Real's and Atletico's transfer ban. It would be funny if Barca went in with a cheeky bid for De Gea now that they can't get him.
Yeah.
Atletico got a transfer ban as well.
Yeah, both of them.
Yeah, they both do.
That's funny.
I think Atletico are much more better to cope with it though. So
there's a lot of talk that they might go and try and do big business in January, which would be interesting to see if that happened. But yeah,
buy everyone, buy the league.
Well,
the training ground a few times. That'll work.
Yeah, like Bolton are selling their training ground to Wigan. Yeah, that'll work.
173 million. You could sell everybody in Bolton, you still wouldn't get the money. Poor old Bolton.
Excuse me. Right, before we go to listeners' questions, let's just go to our usual, not predictatron as such, but let's look at where things stand. So Leicester drew away at Villa, which, by the way, that's dropped points probably in their minds. They would have wanted to have won that game, you would imagine. So if we look at the next couple of fixtures then for Leicester and for Man City, we all know that we play Chelsea next weekend, and Leicester got Tottenham, of course, in midweek in the FA Cup before they play home to Stoke next Saturday. So you would think that they would want to try and win that at home. Manchester City, they have got away at West Ham on a Saturday night. That might not be as straightforward as it sounds, particularly with their away form.
Now Paley's back.
Yeah, absolutely. And then after that, City go to Sunderland away, and then they play Leicester at home. And Leicester, after they play Stoke, they play away at home to Liverpool, and then obviously away at Man City. So there's an opportunity for us to kick on. If particularly, I said in the group earlier on, if we beat Chelsea, I think that might be. I know Chelsea have had their problems. I know they're terrible. Ha 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 ha.
14th.
Yeah, but just the psychological thing of beating Chelsea and laying down a marker and almost sort of saying, yeah, we've taken your spot now. Do you think that could make us kick on next week? I'll start with Rob on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. All of a sudden, the two draws that we had this week in a really tough period will look pretty good if we can smash those chavvy bastards and take all 3 points. And I honestly think that once the Chelsea game is beyond us, we're sort of through the toughest stretch of games I think that we have this season. I think an argument could really be made for that. And if we come through that undefeated, that's fantastic. And yeah, it would absolutely, I think, put us directly in the driver's seat and give us a clear route to the title. Because, let's try to be positive. And remember, if we win every single match from now to the end of the season, we win the Premier League title, which is a pretty exciting place to be in. And I really want to beat Chelsea. I mean, we never do. We never get to have nice things. We didn't get to beat Moyes' United. We didn't get to beat Mourinho, in the Premier League when he was still there. We have to beat them. We just have to, right?